Hey guys, today we are going to work with Azure File Sync Agent. So the purpose of Azure File Sync Agent needs to be understood first. So imagine you are 10 employees working in an office. You all have a common folder in the server where you upload your files and via that folder you share it with all the other people. So you basically use that folder for all your data. Now you realize one day that you want to take a backup of all the data in that folder. If for some reason your server stops working, your on-prem service, of course, or there is some other issue, you need to have a backup of all that data, which is a sensible decision anyway. So that's where Azure File Sync Agent comes into picture. Once we have downloaded Azure File Sync Agent, any data you upload on your local folder will be uploaded via the Azure File Sync Agent as well straight away and will be backed up on Azure automatically. So let's just begin and see how to do that. So for this purpose, I've already created a resource group and I've created a storage account as well. So now I go inside the storage account and I go to File Share. I create a file share and I will just give it some name. Remember, some of these options, they only accept lowercase letters. It doesn't make a lot of difference, but just good to know. And I will create. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go to search and I will search for Azure File Sync. So here is Azure File Sync. So we deploy Azure File Sync now. We provide a standard name. I'll call it trial FS. We need to make sure that we select the same region which we have selected in our resource group. So because accidentally, as we have seen here, it can get changed. And I'll create. So the file sync has been deployed now. Inside that, I will go here, create a sync group. I'll just give it some standard name. I'll select the storage account which I have created and the file share which I have created, and I will create. So the sync group has now been created. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this session, what we are trying to do is we are trying to sync all our data from the folder on our on-prem computer, on-premises computer, with the file sharing Azure via Azure File Sync Agent. So now, what I'm going to do is I have created a VM in VMware with IIS server. Now, what I will do is I'll go to the internet on this VM. And I'll type over here. Azure File Sync Agent. It's generally the first option which you click. And you'll see an option here to download. Now you get options to choose. Just a second. So you get options over here of all different service. So whatever is the operating system or the server type of your VM or your computer, you select that. So my VM has Windows 2019 server. So I'm selecting that. I'll proceed. I go over here, always allow, and I'll run. This should generally be done in a few minutes time. So, or let's see. So I click next. And this is now being installed. Right, so the Azure File Sync Agent wizard has set up now. We now need to just allow for some updates, and we now need to register and sign in over here. So I will just select this. There are several options you will see over here, like Azure China, Azure Government, and so on. We just need to select Azure Cloud, and we sign in. Once you sign in, it will ask you for your Hotmail or Microsoft email ID and password, which I will type now. Once you have signed in, you now need to register your Azure portal account. So we select over here the Azure subscription we have, the resource group which we have created, and the storage. So the file sync which we created on Azure, we register that over here. We click register, and as you can see, it says over here registration successful. We close this. Now if we go to Azure portal again and we click over here, we are already in the sync group. If we click over here the registered servers, we can see that that server has been registered. So the VM which I have created on VMware is called VM1, and that has now been registered over here. Now what I'm going to do is I will go inside the sync group, and I need to add server endpoint. I click server add point. I register this. The server is already registered. So what I'm going to do is I will go inside the VM which I have created on VMware. I'll just go inside the partition, inside this PC, inside the C drive, and I will create a folder. I'll call it local folder. I'll enter the folder and I'll create a couple of folders and files for demonstration purpose. So this has now been created. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a path of this folder which I've just created actually. So I'll go to the C drive, I'll click, and I'll give this path. So the path is just simple, it's just within the C drive. So I'm just going to type that. So I'll type here C. Let me confirm if that's the right one. Yep, that's the right one. So I've given the path, and all I do now is just create. So I'm adding a server point. So this has been successfully created now. Right. So now I'm going to just confirm. I'll go inside the storage account now. And I will click file share. And I'll enter this file share. You can see the folders which we just created on the VM are all populated over here. The trial folder, trial bitmap, and trial rich text. So what now happens is, if we imagine that this is the on-prem computer and the local folder within that, and you are 10 people working there, every folder or file which you upload onto this will be backed up, which will be synced straight away onto the Azure server. So it will appear there immediately. So you have got backup constantly happening. So what we did today is I created, of course, a resource group and a storage account on Azure. Within that, a file share. I created a file sync and a file sync group within Azure, within the storage account. And on a remote VM, I downloaded Azure File Sync Agent, and I created a folder in the local C drive. And I registered the file sync agent and the file sync group, which I had created on Azure portal. I registered that onto the remote VM, and I connected both of them. So basically, every folder within that folder, any file or folder which gets created, gets backed up straight away onto Azure. There is one more thing you need to remember within this, which is now once you have created this, now this was for demonstration purpose only. if I want to delete my resource group, I'll have to do it step by steps. What I will now have to do is I'll have to go inside the sync group. So I'll go to my resource group. So here is a trial file share. So I click over here, registered server. I click here and there is this option of unregister the server. I'll just type the name of the VM, VM1, and it will allow me to unregister it. In this way, I'll have to unregister the server and delete all the sync group as well as the trial file sync and everything step by step, and only then will I be able to delete the Azure resource group. Because you need to understand that the remote server which I had created is connected with the Azure file sync. So until they are connected, you can't delete the resource group. So you have to first unregister and disconnect those, which I am now doing. So hope this video is useful for you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you.